Hello! In today's video I'm going to show how to sew hem ruffles on dresses and tops. So you can have one, two or three or four of straps of fabric. What you do, you need to sew the straps together and open the seams. When you choose to do hem ruffles on dresses, choose a very light fabric because you see you need to double it and then you need to gather it, so it needs to be lightweight. In this case it's a cotton voile. In today's video I'm going to show you two options if you have gathering foot or if you don't have a gathering foot. It is very useful to have a gathering foot when gathering ruffles because there is a lot of fabric to gather. So this is the the gathering foot. You can find it very cheap on Amazon, a few dollars. It takes some time to arrive at your place, but it's very cheap and it's very useful. Okay, if you're using a ruffle foot, this is the first. So this is the first way, using the ruffle foot. You don't close all the seams, but leave one open. You see, like this. You have this one open, and then in the end you're going to close it. So what you're going to do now, in both versions, once you've sewn the pieces together, now you're going to press in half all the ruffle. Here it is, our future ruffle. When you press wrong sides touching and the right side is outside. As you see, for the gathering foot method, I left one seam open. One thing, when you cut the ruffles, the straps for ruffles, when using the gathering foot, cut them longer. Or if you have 2 or 3 or 4, cut them 10 centimeters and even more, which is 4 or 5 inches, longer than in the instructions. So, with this method, we are going to cut away the excess. But if you try to match exactly what the pattern says, it's very hard to gather in the right way so that it fits perfectly. So we are going to do in this way that it's much faster. So we cut longer, and then we cut away the excess. Here it is. You gather all around, and now we are going to pin the ruffle on the hem of the dress. Start from one side seam. I usually leave this first part not gathered, but it's the same. You can start with the gathering, then you open. You will see that later. Now you slowly arrange the gathering and pin all around, right sides of the skirt and the ruffle. I usually always attach the ruffle to the skirt while having the ruffle on top, because I like to have to see the gathering and arrange it. Otherwise, usually I end up with not a very pretty result. So my advice is to keep the ruffle on top. Here it is. Now we are going to cut away this excess, close the seam, gather again, and then sew the ruffle all around. Cut away at least, I would say, 5-6 centimeters, which is a couple of inches. And now you need to open the gathering because you need to close. If you don't, you cannot close the seams. So open the gathering. Here it is. You see, you need to have enough space so you can close this seam again. I calculated it's around 3-4 centimeters excess from the side seam, which is 1.5 inches more or less. Now you close the seam, you open with your steam iron, press, and then you again gather this part. Here it is. You see? Now we need to gather this part, pin, And then all around we are going to close the seam to sew the ruffle on the dress. Now let's sew directly, I would say on the left, 1 millimeter on the left, so we are sure we don't see the gathering stitch on the right side. Let's sew all around our ruffle to the skirt. That was the first method with the gathering foot. The other method, for me, I would use shirring elastic thread, because it's for me it is the only way to use a fixed measure ruffle on a skirt, because it being elastic, you can arrange the gathering as you wish. So in this case, you close both sides of the ruffle, you make a bobbin with the elastic thread, you just wind it like a normal thread, and then you put it, if you have this casing, metallic casing, you should on this little screw give it a half turn clockwise, so it is a little bit it stretches a little bit and it's more gathered. So let's do this. Keep the thread long and start gathering. See, this sound you should have while sewing. Keep your one finger behind, and this is a technique I usually use whenever I gather anything, so it keeps it in place. Okay, so do this all around the ruffle. So this is the result. You see, it is elastic, and the best thing is that the gathering doesn't move like a gathering with the zigzag stitch or with long stitch. You see, it doesn't move. So now you can adapt this ruffle on the hem of the dress. In this case, you should have marked centers of the ruffle, and you have center front and center back of the dress, the hem. Here it is. I really like this method because it is you who decide how to arrange it. You see here, for example, when you sew, you just keep this straight and you sew exactly here. I would stitch exactly 1 millimeter here at the left of the elastic, and then when we finish we need to remove the elastic thread. I'm keeping this straight, so if we need to stretch the elastic thread, you see, just right on the left from the elastic, all around. Looks very nice. Now we remove the elastic thread because we don't want this seam to be elastic, and we want it to be nice and flat. So remove the shirring elastic, and then we are going to top stitch here near the edge with the seam allowance under the dress. This is optional, but I really like this because it keeps the seam allowance in place and it looks nice. Oh, I forgot. Before top stitching, we need to finish the raw edge. Now that we have finished the seam, now we're going to stitch near the edge all around to block the seam allowance here under the dress with the top stitch. Okay, here it is finished with the top stitch. This is the video for applying the ruffles on the skirts and dresses. If you liked it, please remember to give it a like and share it with your friends. Thank you for watching.